I think, look, I had an allergic reaction to anything related to learning growing up. I was the typical kid often at the back of the classroom that was either distracted, or the formal ways of learning back when I was young was so boring, so dry, that they just, it never ever felt important. I always had something else that felt like it was more important, and I wanted to do a bit more. And then I've naturally grown up and I've matured, I hope, and realized that I've realized that the learning journey is very important, and it's really important still in the workplace as an adult. So then what I've started to look at for myself, but by extension as a team of Vivida, is how can we use technology in order to be able to make education something that people lean into, rather than kind of slouch back and think, I can't be bothered to do this, I don't want to do this. And immersive technologies have really naturally helped there. We're always pushing innovation and trying to do things differently. So for us, whenever we are looking at creating, we firstly got to think about what's the impact that we need to have. In an ideal world, what we're trying to do is we need to, and we want to change someone's thinking and their attitude towards something. So we need to be able to move them from one place to another. Once we've then understood that, then we start to work out, well, what story is going to act as that really powerful lever in order to be able to change and pivot that view. And so often what we're doing is we're looking to change people's perspective. And sometimes that's really literally by putting you in the shoes of somebody else going through a particular lived experience. Or maybe giving you a different point of view, right? Maybe third person from behind, in control, using interactivity to drive that narrative. But for us, the story component is the bit that we generally really, really lean into, in order to be able to make something as engaging as possible. The reality is that there's a real tension internally, because there are so many things that when we look at our approach and our methodology of using the storytelling, combining it with technology in order to drive change, you start to work out, well, what areas do we want to focus on? And you're right, cybersecurity, yes, diversity inclusion, but then diversity inclusion itself is really big. There are so many different facets or characteristics that we could cover. And then we see something else, because for Sky, as an example, I know that we created an experience based on fire, where we placed you in the middle of a burning building with a fire service in virtual reality. And there's a part of us and myself that is always excited by the new creative idea, by trying to have impact in lots of different ways. The truth is, we have to dial it back often, right? We have to really try to stay focused, because as we do that, as we stay focused, as we try to remain in a particular zone for a period of time, we become more effective at the delivery of that particular service and that particular solution. And I think it's always right that there is a tension. Why? Because as we do something and we create something and we notice that it works, and then we see impact, it's only right that we want to see impact in other areas that personally resonate with us as individuals or as a team. There are a number of projects that we're really proud of. I think the one that comes to mind right now is we are working on a really exciting project with HSBC. And they saw the work that we were doing with the diversity and inclusion in their shoes interactive XR experience. And we have been developing over the course of a program of a couple of years, 3D interactive experience that is based on the lived experiences of colleagues in that organization, also of ourselves as well. And we've combined that to create something that's really unique. And from that, there are so many things that are starting to happen as we work with government departments, etc. So I'd say for us, that in their shoes kind of creation that we've made, it started off actually as a virtual reality experience where we placed someone in the body of a young black man. We did that originally with EY, and then it started to grow. And so watching that really purposeful project grow to help thousands and thousands in these organizations is personally very, very rewarding. Naturally, what we aim to do is use the technology to place people in the shoes of another. So what we ended up doing is we listened and gathered real life insights, lived experience, positive, the challenges, things that maybe have become part of someone's heritage, their background, obstacles growing up. And we gathered all those insights, created scripts, we created and adapted the 3D environments. We used technology that allowed us to the organization also to get an understanding of what the metaverse for them could also look like. We brought in the technology to it was such a big amalgamation of real lived insights, but then a lot of work from a number of teams across their organization, across Vivida, in order to be able to bring this to life. I think that organizations, for one reason or another, are always looking for new ways to capture and retain people's attention. And that means that things have to be different to what is already available to an individual in order to be able to attract their attention, right? And then to own it and hold that. So I think that's where technologies like XR, these emerging technologies, come into play. Is that as we go through different iterations of what the technology can do, it naturally creates curiosity from people and individuals. And that curiosity is very, very important. And when you combine that curiosity with a subject that's really important, when you combine it with the need and desire to create change or to define or redefine the brand, that combination becomes very, very powerful. And so the reality is that right now, as we are working with these technologies, we're doing a series of experiments, right? And there's two ways of looking at this. One is that yeah, a number of us are disappointed that there are certain elements of technology that hasn't had the mainstream adoption that maybe we desired, right? Um, because we are also used to searching and looking for the novel, right? And I think that's a good thing. But I also think there's a danger there as well, because sometimes I've fallen into the trap of creating and doing things because I think it's cool, because I think it's novel, without thinking about the problem that we're trying to solve. Um, but at the same time, as we start to work with each iteration, we are learning. When it comes from a business perspective, organizations will look for trying to find a product market fit, trying to create something that solves a problem continuously enough. And we're not there yet, but every experiment um, results in improvement and converging on the solution that provides the most value. So I think these times are very exciting. I think that that we have to make sure that we keep our eye on are we solving a problem and going beyond more than satisfying curiosity and keeping people's attention for a short period of time.